Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Hi everyone, my name is Ray Hopkins. I'm in my 5th semester at Langara in the creative writing program. This is my esteemed colleague, Mr. Darcy. He's an apprentice at the biscuit making factory, and his hobbies include sitting on keyboards and biting toes. My AI image depicts the festival of Juno Capertina. It's also known as the Nonne Capratine, the Nonne Capratine, or just the Capratine. The festival was held annually on the 7th of July, the Nones of July. There are 2 separate stories that explain its origin. In very brief terms, one of these stories claims that the festival commemorates Romulus' disappearance and ascension to divinity. Plutarch considered this story to be the more likely of the 2. In this form, the festival takes its name from the Latin word for goat, which is capra, because the place where Romulus disappeared was called the Goat's Marsh. The second story takes place after the Gallic sack of Rome in the 4th century BCE. Latin forces were prepared to go to war with Rome, weakened as it was after a series of conflicts with various peoples. The Latins requested freeborn maidens from Rome to marry, thereby renewing an old alliance between them. The Romans didn't want to do that. An enslaved girl called Tutula, or Philotis, suggested that she and some of the best-looking young slave women and girls be dressed in finery and presented as freeborn maidens to the Latins. They did that. That night, the girls stole the Latin men's swords, while Tutula, or Philotis, climbed a wild fig tree and used a torch to signal the Roman commanders. The Romans marched on the camp, killed the Latins. Victory is ours. The festival commemorates their victory and the bravery of the enslaved girls. This version credits the name of the festival to the Latin word for a wild fig tree, which is caprificus.
I think that the AI image better resonates with the latter of the etiological myths because of the imagery of the fig tree and the torches. That brings me to my thesis. The AI image minimizes the religious significance of the Nonne Capratone festival and avoids its reinforcement of Rome's entrenched social hierarchy. This was a festival for women, particularly enslaved women, and it was also closely associated with fertility. Men could not participate. There are 2 visible male figures in this image, one by the base of the fig tree with the bulging muscles, and the other to the right holding a wooden club. The women in this image look like they're having a great time. They're dancing and play fighting and generally frolicking and eating and drinking. It looks like a lot of fun. But it's missing most of the important religious aspects to the festival. There were things like ritual begging, ritual whipping, and sacrifices made during this festival that would have been more important to the Romans than the fun parts, I guess. The Nonne Capratine festival was also a festival of reversal, in that the handmaids, as they call them, the enslaved women, dressed up in the clothes of their mistresses. So they'd be wearing the fine clothes. Notably, none of the sources say that the mistresses did the reverse. So, partial reversal. Point being, what they were wearing wouldn't look like that. By glossing over the division between enslaved women and the matrone, the image misses a fundamental piece to understanding Roman social order. Even during a festival of reversal, one of the few holidays slaves could enjoy, everyone knew that the status quo would resume afterwards. In Rome, women were limited in agency and denied many of the rights offered to their male counterparts. However, within an already marginalized group existed further layers of hierarchy. To wrap up, my paper will examine the religious and social functions of the festival of Juno Capertina, fertility and appeasement, essentially, and critique their lack of representation in the AI image. I won't even mention the grotesque limbs and faces.